So just realized I wasn't recording, so sorry, we're jumping in here. But we typed in F1 the equation that goes with example 6. I want to take the derivative of the equation I already typed in. I can get to F1 one of two ways. I think the easiest way is just typing it in. Would you agree with that? Even though you don't know the other way? We're just going to type it in. And I can't even do that because my little recording thing's in the way now, so let me move that. Oh my goodness. You know, I'm so glad it's Friday. Look at it. It's still going to be in the way. Oh, it's sort of in the way. Okay, I want to take the derivative of F1. So I'm literally going to type F1, and then I'll show you the other way. Open my parentheses, X. So I want the derivative of F1, because F1 is the other thing I did. The other way you get to that is if you hit the var key above the 9, that's your variables that you can choose from, and then you could hit enter for F1. But I prefer just to type it, because if you have a few things, then you have to scroll and find it, and it's easier to type it. So once you have that, I want the derivative of that, then I'm going to hit enter, and it graphs it. And again, for the purposes of what we're doing right now, we really don't care what the graph looks like. We just need to know those two things are in there. Now, even though we have the original function, so if I hit tab again, that's how I could get back up there if I wanted to look at it. So here's my original function. Then I said, hey, I want the derivative of it. It showed me the graph. It doesn't show me what the derivative looks like in the equation form, but I don't really necessarily care about that right now either. So it's not going to do that for you. Once we are actually finding them, it's not going to give you the pretty equation like you might want. But it does give me this so I can do some values. So now what I want to do on example 6, I want k prime of -2. So I'm going to go back to my calculator because I'm looking at the graph. So to do that, see these little blue pages right here? I'm going to do control and then left, and that flips to the page before it. Okay? I'm not going to type in k prime of -2 because first of all, we didn't call it k, and none of that makes any sense. And I'm not taking the derivative here. I have the derivative in F2, so I want F2, so I'm going to type in F2 of, and then it's just -2, right? Make sure you use the negative sign. And it's going to give you the value. Bam, there's your value. Remember, your answers have to be accurate to 3 decimal places. You can write 4 decimal places if you want, and then you don't have to worry about rounding or anything like that. And whether you round or truncate, which means you just chop it off, either one of those is fine. And because what I have on my paper didn't really print right, so I may not have all the decimals here, but k prime of -2 equals -0.8365. By writing 4 of them, then I am definitely correct to 3. That's one way to look at it. If I needed to use this number in something else, then I would either want to store it or manipulate it in such a way I would never type the rounded number back in, right? Does that make sense? So then I want k prime of pi. So let's make sure we can find buttons like that. So k prime, remember, is still just F2. So F2 of, where is the pi button? Down here. See that? So pi's right there. You can't type in, I don't know, if you typed in pi, it might work, but the pi button's right there. When you click it, you actually get a few things. We also get E, which we have over here as well. We'll talk about why we might want that one over this other one we used a minute ago. But then you just click on your pi, and there's your answer, and you can write your decimal down. So when I hit the pi button and I got this and E as an option as well, that's maybe if I just wanted E and I don't want E squared or E to the X or E to the whatever. But if I didn't remember that it was there and I only wanted E, you have an escape key, by the way, like you do on your computer. If I needed E and not E squared or whatever, you can always take E to what power? 1. So if you just needed E, you could do E to the first and still use that E and you'd be fine. All right, so then the next thing I want is k prime of E squared. So again, I want F2 of, and then I can just use this one. I think that one's easier to get to. I can put my squared in there. That's the number I get, so make sure you're getting the same numbers so you know you're hitting the right things. correctly. So we've got negative 2 pi in e squared. So then do f prime, or yeah, k prime, f2 of, do that last one, f2 of this random decimal, negative 0.4 281. Okay. And that number is way different than the other ones, right? What calculator questions do you have right now? Every time, open a graph and open a calculator. Every time. There'll be some other things we'll do with it, but you'll want them both already there. It makes it easier to already have it. No need to store it. We will talk, like saving the documents. We'll talk about that later, but don't ever use the scratch pad. Okay. Any questions about any of these? We good? Okay, perfect.